Hey there, it's Joseph, and welcome back to the YouTube channel on San Miguel de Allende's Secrets. And today we're going to be exploring the streets of San Miguel de Allende and learning some of their secrets. As always, in the descriptive box below, there are links to various websites if you need more information, including one that'll take you out to Amazon.com offering all 10 books in the best-selling series called San Miguel de Allende's Secrets. The popular song lyric about the street with no name wasn't written with San Miguel de Allende in mind. Our streets all have names, often several names, that combined with the Dr. Seuss-like nonsensical numbering system even the Cat in the Hat would admire, causes endless confusion. The Spanish, given their obsession with converting the locals, named the streets after Jesus, Mary, the saints, and related religious notions like the Immaculate Conception or the Ten Commandments. To this day, we've countless streets named for saints and the various versions of the Virgin Mary. Several religious-themed streets in Central were renamed after the revolution from Spain for the local founding fathers like Aldama, Allende, and Hidalgo. If you look at the actual street signs, like the one in the upper right-hand corner there, you can see what the street was called before in small print under the current name. Ignore the misspellings and odd use of abbreviations. Recent subdivisions tend to focus on themes. Colonial Guadalupe refers to artists and songs, while Colonial Olympia leans towards Greek gods and goddesses. And yes, street names are repeated around town, with Allende, Soledad, San Juan, and Guadalupe being the most often repeated favorites. Some street names are logical if you know where you are. Hortus, which means orchards, are for the orchards that once surrounded San Miguel and their corresponding plant life. Why Muertos, Street of the Dead, leads down to the St. John of God Cemetery. Animas is for all the lost souls that roam the streets as ghosts following their execution on Plaza Civica. Calvario is for Calvary, the hill Jesus died on, and why his partner in death, St. Demas, is named for the street that intersects it. Canal, Sollano, Hernandez Marcias, and Homo Bono are named for important people and families. Meanwhile, important dates like the 5th of May for getting the French out of Mexico, the 15th of September for when the revolution against Spain started, and the 20th of January for my mother's birthday, well, and Ignacio Allende's also, are the names of important streets. Niños Heroes, what are the little boys pictured here in the outside of the school? They were 6 teenage military cadets that died defending Mexico City Chapultepec Castle from invading U.S. forces in the 1847 Battle of Chapultepec. During the Mexican-American War. According to legend and an act of bravery, Juan Escuta wrapped the Mexican flag around his body and jumped from the top of the castle in order to keep it from falling into the hands of the Americans. Many streets and schools are named for the cadets, both singularly and as a group. Sir Juana Inez de la Cruz, there on the 200 peso notes, a former child savant and lady-in-waiting for the royal court. Sor Juana became a cloistered nun and a prolific writer on feminist issues. Featured on the older version of the 200 peso note, the book behind her features her famous phrase, quote, "Pity the men that underestimate the intelligence of woman." The man to the left is Fray Jose de Guadalupe Mojica. Former Hollywood movie star turned priest, Father Mojica built the boys' orphanage here in town called Mexiquito. It was here he wrote his best-selling autobiography and starred in the film version of the book. The man in the upper right-hand corner is Bartolomé de las Casas. He has a street in Independencia. He arrived as one of the first Spanish settlers in the Americas, and Las Casas initially participated in, but eventually felt compelled to oppose, the abuses committed by colonists against the Native Americans. Unlike some other priests who sought to destroy the indigenous people's native books and writings, he strictly opposed this action. His efforts resulted in an increased focus on the ethics of colonialism. Las Casas is considered to be one of the first advocates of the concept of human rights. To the left in black and white is Sterling Dickinson, by all accounts a thoroughly pleasant American man that settled in San Miguel de Allende and actively sought veterans returning from World War II to use their VA benefits to get a BA in art here for a fraction of the cost as offered up north. Enthusiastic for both baseball and orchards, he increased the local popularity of both. Sterling also created the foreigner section of the Guadalupe Cemetery. In the middle there with his dog is Fray Bernardo Cosin, the priest that infamously lost his dog, only to find him at the present-day site of the Churro, or natural springs. Cosin had an epiphany, realizing that where the town was originally situated, now called San Miguel Viejo, or Old San Miguel, was being attacked from all four sides. But by moving the village to the present site of San Miguel de Allende, they had natural water from the springs and protection from the bordering mountains. It's easy to spot Cosin in art around town, as he's normally featured with his forward-thinking dog. Pictured here on the right is Francisco, or Pancho Villa, the Mexican revolutionary general and one of the most prominent figures of the Mexican Revolution. Villa helped fashion his own image with wide sombrero and impressive mustache as an internationally known revolutionary hero, starring as himself in Hollywood films and giving interviews to foreign journalists. He enjoys continued posthumous popularity, acclaim, and images all throughout town and streets named for him. Pippola, the gentleman right next to him on our left, was the nickname of Juan Jose de los Reyes Martinez Armaro, and the word for a hen turkey. It is said his nickname stands for his freckled face, similar to that of a turkey egg. Pippola became famous for an act of heroism near the beginning of the Mexican War for Independence on the 28th of September, 1810. In the city of Guanajuato, the Spanish barricaded themselves, along with plenty of silver and other riches, in a grain warehouse. The granary was a stone fortress with high stone walls, but for its wooden door provided a shortcoming. With a long flat stone tied to his back to protect him from the muskets of the Spanish troops, Pippola carried tar and a torch to the door and set it on fire. The insurgents, who far outnumbered the Spanish in the granary, then stormed inside and killed all the soldiers and refugees. Dr. Mora, Jose Maria Luis Mora La Madrid, was a locally politically active priest and promoter of the separation between church and state more than a century before it came to pass. The nearby village named for him hosts the infamous Carnita Festival each year. Then Acatempan. The Hug of Acatempan, pictured up in the upper left-hand corner, is an event that occurred in 1821 in which Agustin de Iturbide, commander-in-chief and army of the Viceroy of New Spain, hugged Vicente Guerrero, head of the forces fighting for the independence of Mexico. This embrace marked the reconciliation between the Spanish forces and the insurgent army, ending 11 years of war. You may have also noticed a street called Indio Triste, or Sad Indian, and it's named for an indigenous lad that played sad music daily for his wife suffering in the indigenous hospital then behind the St. John of God Church. The musician felt his music would be carried by the angels to his ill wife and make her well again. I can only assume it did the trick, and the spousal devotion won't be forgotten, if only for the unusual street name. The list of important Mexican events can continue, but for now, this is a great start towards making getting around town more interesting and relevant. As always, feel free to click like and subscribe, and you'll get automatic notification of when new videos come out here on the San Miguel de Allende Secrets channel.